You know that dream of making things just float? What if I told you that technology, the kind that feels like pure sci-fi, is actually something you can build yourself right now? Today, we are diving deep into the incredible world of open-source acoustic levitation.
Seriously, just for a second, forget hoverboards. Imagine you could suspend an object right there in midair, using nothing but sound. And no, this isn't some hypothetical from 100 years in the future. It's the very real question that's driving a pretty amazing open-source movement that's happening as we speak.
And this isn't just about building a cool party trick either. Right from the get-go, the creators of this project laid out their mission with this really powerful statement. They're not just sharing a blueprint, they're basically planting a flag saying this technology can't be locked down by patents. They're making sure it stays free and open for everyone, for good.
So yeah, that brings us right to the core philosophy, the big why behind this whole thing. It's all about democratizing a technology that could literally change the world.
Okay, so how in the world does this work? Well, it's actually surprisingly elegant. The system uses ultrasonic speakers. We're talking frequencies so high you can't even hear them, to create these things called standing waves in the air. These waves have these stable little pockets of high and low pressure, and a small object will just naturally settle into one of those low-pressure spots, held there just by sound.
And that gets us to what might be the most important part. This whole project is designed from the ground up to be completely open. Every single line of code, every design file, every simulation, it's all out there for you to see and use. The whole point is to make sure this doesn't become another piece of amazing tech that only a handful of huge companies get to control.
Okay, so we've got the why. Now for the really fun part, the how. I mean, it's one thing to say you can make something float, but it's another thing entirely to do it well, to make it stable and efficient. And the secret to this project's success, it lies in a piece of geometry that's, believe it or not, ancient.
Now, this is where it gets really clever. Check out this comparison. If you just stick your little ultrasonic emitters anywhere, you get a messy, weak, and pretty useless acoustic field. But if you arrange them in this very specific pattern, the flower of life, something kind of magical happens. All those individual sound waves add up perfectly, creating a single, super powerful and incredibly stable little trap right in the center.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. They've got the data to prove it. This isn't just a nice theory. The project's own simulations show just how big a difference this makes. I mean, look at this chart. A random layout gives you a tiny bit of force. A standard square grid? A little better. But the flower of life pattern? It's not just a little better, it's more than twice as strong.
So what that really means is this geometric pattern creates what scientists call an acoustic potential well. The easiest way to think about it is like a deep bowl made out of sound. The deeper that bowl, the stronger the grip it has on an object. And this pattern makes a bowl that's over 2 times deeper than a normal layout. That's the secret sauce. That's what makes this whole thing work so darn well.
Okay, so we have the mission, we have the science, but how do you actually go from all this theory to having a real device floating something on your desk? Let's get into the build.
So, first things first, is this going to break the bank? Nope. The beginner-friendly version of this project, which they call Build 1, can be put together for about $80. That's it. For less than a new video game, you can get every part you need to start experimenting with defying gravity. And the build guide itself is awesome. It breaks the whole journey down into 4 clear, simple phases. You start with the mechanical part, basically just mounting the little buzzers. Then you do the electronics, wiring it all up. After that, you upload the code to an Arduino to give it a brain. And then, the best part, you get to try your very first levitation. Okay, let's be real for a second. With any hands-on project, things don't always work perfectly the first time. But what's so cool about this project is that it totally embraces that. The creators actually see troubleshooting not as a failure, but as the most important part of learning.
So you've built it, you've powered it on, and your little ping pong ball just sits there. It's a moment every single maker has faced. So, what do you do? Well, you turn to the guide. The project has this incredibly detailed troubleshooting section. For instance, if your object floats but then kind of slides off to one side, the guide tells you the most likely cause is that your emitters aren't perfectly symmetrical. Or if you hear this awful squealing noise, you probably just have a typo in the code. It gives you a clear problem and a direct, fixable solution. And this right here is the core mindset of the whole community. Getting it wrong isn't a setback, it's an opportunity.
I mean, when you're figuring out why one little buzzer isn't firing, you're learning way more about the physics and the electronics than if it had all just worked perfectly from the start.
All right, so you've built a small one, you've worked out the kinks, and you've successfully floated a tiny object. So where do we go from here? This is where the project's real ambition just blows the doors off.
That $80 Build 1 is just the beginning. The exact same principles can be scaled way up. Build 2 is a lab-scale version that can lift things up to 2 kilograms. Think tools or a full bottle of water. And then there's Build 3. This is a human-scale platform designed with the potential to levitate furniture or even a person up to 150 kilograms. This isn't a toy, it's a proof of concept for something huge.
And since this is all open source, there are a ton of ways for you to get involved. Honestly, the most powerful thing you can do is just build one and share what you learn. But you can also help find bugs, suggest design improvements, or even just help make the instructions a little clearer for the next person. Every single contribution pushes the whole thing forward.
You know, ultimately, this project is about so much more than just a single device. It's a platform for innovation. It's a whole new set of tools being placed right in your hands. Which really just leaves us with one last big question. What would you build if gravity was optional?